Hey everybody, Josh Highland here. I'm following up to my video last week where I made some predictions on what was going to be happening with the Apple announcement that was happening today. Today is January 27th, 2010, and today Apple announced its new iPad. Last week I made some predictions on what I thought was going to happen during these announcements, and I was off on some of them, but I also hit a few of them on the head. So I'm going to go over those right now. I really thought that this was going to be really focused on the iPhone. Like there was going to be a lot of new changes coming to the iPhone. They were going to announce an iPhone along with the iSlate. I thought the iSlate was going to take kind of it was going to be an announcement, but I didn't think it was going to be the major announcement. I thought it was going to be iPhone, and it was like, oh, this is a new device that's like our iPhone, and it kind of runs on stuff. So let's just kind of go over some of the predictions that I made that I hit and I didn't hit. So first off, I thought it was going to be called iSlate, which is wrong. It's called iPad. I don't like the name iPad, but I mean, I guess it works. It's like a pad of paper, whatever. Slate sounds heavy and bulky, and I can understand why they wouldn't go with something like that. So iPod makes sense, or iPad. See, the reason I don't like iPad is it's confusing. iPad, iPod, but maybe there's something there where your head, you're going to connect the two together. You know, oh, I like an iPod, so I'll like an iPad. I don't know. But I really thought there was going to be a new version of the iPhone OS. I was calling it iPhone OS 4. I was wrong on that. There is a new version of the iPhone OS. It's going to be iPhone OS 3.2.2. The current version right now is 3.2.1. So I know what you're saying. This is a very minor point release, but still it adds new functionality to the iPhone, things that you're probably not going to really notice, but more importantly, it adds support for the iPad because the iPad does run on the iPhone OS, which is cool for developers like myself because applications that we've already written are going to continue to run. So if you've written applications that are on the if you bought applications rather from the iTunes store, they're going to run. I think that they're going to allow you to sync those over, which would be cool. You know, you've already dumped money, why dump it again? I was right about the screen being about 10 inches. It's actually going to be 9.7 inches, so I consider that a hit. It's a cool screen. I was hoping for like an e-ink type screen, or at least some features in that for the book reading functionality of it, kind of like what the Kindle does, but it's not. It's an LCD-based screen, so it's going to be hard to read off of, but no more harder than reading off, say, your MacBook Pro. So, you know, it's going to be nice. It's a glass screen. I was correct in saying that there's no Verizon support, that if there was going to be any support for new mobile devices, it was going to continue to be through AT&T, which is correct. There's going to be a 3G version of the iPad, and it's going to be through AT&T. Also, iPhone, no announcements on it, so I was right saying that it's not going over to Verizon either. There's a lot of talk about that. Let's see here. I was really wrong about them running multiple applications at the same time. That's the biggest thing that I wanted to see in an announcement and an update for the iPhone, was running multiple applications. I thought that was going to be really important to whatever this tablet was going to be, the purpose behind that. But I guess Apple thinks that people are used to running that one application at a time, so they're going to continue that model. I'd really like to see that change in the future, but yeah, I was wrong on that one. So I think a lot of people were also. But yeah, the iPad, it's cool. It's 1.5 pounds, which sounds a bit heavy to me. I mean, like 1.5 pounds, go pick that up and hold that out in front of you, you know, for an extended period of time. It's going to get pretty heavy after a while. I mean, just hold a 1 pound weight just out in front of you. You'll see what I'm talking about. But it's half an inch thick. One thing I was really disappointed about was the lack of cameras. But the more I think about that, it kind of makes sense. Because I mean, think about it. This is about the size of an iPad here. So holding this out, trying to aim and take a photo and things like that, it's going to be confusing. Like how do you do that? Hold it steady with two hands. I'm going to miss augmented reality applications that could be available for the iPad that we're seeing right now come out on the iPhone, and also in different applications, different platforms. I mean, like the Droid, and even the Pre has some now. And they're cool applications, and I think that the iSlate's going to be missing out, or the iPad, see, I'm still calling it iSlate, is going to be missing out on some of those things. I was really disappointed in the fact that the iPad's going to be featured in 6 different flavors. I was calling a 16, 32, and 64 gig size if you look back at that, but I was seeing that for the iPhone, but that translates over to the iPads now. But it's interesting that there's going to be a Wi-Fi and then the 3G model on top of that, so making it a total of 6. I don't know. It's a little bit much. That's more offerings that they have it's a more choices. Apple doesn't usually throw out choices to its users. It's like A, B, or C. That's it. Not these different versions. That's a Microsoft type thing. So that was kind of odd to see Apple doing something like that. But I really think most importantly, out of all this, that the iPad is a MacBook Air killer. I'm calling it now. You can get a keyboard dock for it, and it connects to the internet all the time. And it's super thin. It's as thin as a MacBook Air and weighs about the same. So what's the really purpose behind a MacBook Air? Sure, there's going to be a market for it, but they haven't sold as well as the MacBook Pros and the MacBooks. If somebody really wants a notebook computer, they're going to buy a MacBook Pro or a MacBook. They're really not that much thicker than a MacBook Air. But with this new device, the iPad, I can really see it taking off. At first I was like, what's going to be the use of it? But think about it. It connects to the web. It browses websites. It can get your email. It does the iLife suite, so you can work with spreadsheets, presentations, and also documentation. Think about that. That's your average office worker. That's my mom. That's my grandma. That's the secretary at work. Those are all the things that they need. Sure, okay, hook it up, type on the keyboard, but there's a dock for that. This is going to be a device that I think is going to grow on people over time, and it's really going to replace a lot of people's on-the-go computers. Maybe somebody needs a desktop computer at home or a notebook, but they don't really need that with them all the time. So this is just going to be something quick and on the go. Like I could really see my wife using this. Where I myself, I'm going to be on my MacBook Pro a lot, but my wife, she'll be using the iPad. So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing pans out. I'm really interested in writing some applications for it, so I'm probably going to get one as soon as it comes out. But yeah, my predictions were off, but the future's looking bright, so I'm hopeful. So I don't know. I'm interested in hearing what you think about it. So go ahead and post some comments, leave some comments on my blog. Thanks for watching. I'm Josh Highland.